Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rhodey and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day and welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian Fishing Podcast, episode 161. Dizzy, how are you, mates?
Good, mate. It's great to be here with you. We've got a huge episode today. We've got Adam from Aeroo Drones. He's going to tell us all about the purpose-built fishing drone Aeroo. They've got a couple of different models which he's going to talk us through. They're a wonderful piece of kit for anybody who likes getting out land-based or just anybody who likes fishing in general because it's going to increase your catch rate.
And Dizzy, with the price of fuel, it's a hell of a lot easier to take a drone out than fill the boat tank with fuel, isn't it?
Yeah, good call. And I think if you are into surf fishing, I'm sure you've all had one of those experiences where you just, the wind might be against you or whatever and you can't get your cast out into that gutter where you think the fish might be hanging out. Well, this is going to solve all of your problems. So hang tight on this episode because we've got a lot of breaking news. We've got Adam from Aeroo. As we said, we've got a lot of really good segments coming up today. But before we do that, Rhodey, we're going to get through our oranges and lemons. So tell us about your orange.
Dizzy, my orange was that we have had this squid competition with a great prize from Shimano, and lucky this prize has been won because, as we're going to talk about in the news, squid fishing isn't on the agenda for much longer, but David Rocker and his mate Rob were the first ones to send us a legitimate, confirmed squid capture in the Gulf of St Vincents. They caught a nice little squid off Edithburgh, and they are getting a nice little prize from Shimano, so an EGI squid case, couple of lures, hats. They're gonna be ready for when this squid fishery reopens, when the numbers bounce back, Diz. But good to see they got in just before the closure, Diz.
Yeah, good call, Rhodey. It was a lovely prize, a spectacular prize, really, and glad to see that go to some very keen fishermen's hands, and I'm sure they'll keep us up to date with their fishing adventures. It won't be squid for a little while, as you say, and we'll cover that a little bit more in the news. My orange was the mighty pair, getting it done against the Kitty Cats.
Yeah, mate, and they should have absolutely smoked them by 10 goals. If we could kick straight. We flogged them around the field and scoring shots and all that. So, Anyway, Diz, I'm actually thinking the power could be back. I think, we should have won more games. We probably should have been 4-0, but we lost a couple early, lost to North, lost to West Coast, should have got those wins away.
Yeah.
But I think it just took a couple of weeks to get used to the new coach, and now it's all clicking for us.
Okay, well, let's see if that happens in the showy coming up this week. Rhodey, what's your lemon?
Dizzy, I've been on the phone to you a couple of days lately, and all I've been doing is whinging about my irrigation.
That you have been.
Do you know what's great in the world? Irrigation. You just turn it on, you use the bloody app, you just turn it on and it works. Until it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Until the bloody manifold cracks.
Yeah.
And then you're digging mud, you're cleaning it all out, it fills with water, it's gross, there's wires everywhere.
Yeah.
Those little irrigation boxes are never quite big enough.
Yeah.
And I've actually sized up this time. I've dug it all out. I've started basically from scratch. I put a concrete slab on the bottom so there's a lot less dirt. I did have gravel on the bottom.
Yeah.
But when it filled with water, it just ended up with a slosh pit of mud.
Yeah. Yes.
So anyway, I would say I'm 90% through that job, but it's been a big one. And I'll tell you right now, with kids, you can't just sit there on a Saturday for 4 hours and get it all done.
No, you can't.
Half an hour there, half an hour here.
And you got to pull everything out and you got to pick up from where you left off. And sometimes it's as simple as an O-ring.
You can't leave power tools sitting on the grass all week.
No, you can't. Sometimes it really is a simple fix. Other times it does require, like you say, you got to get yourself elbow deep in absolute filth. You got a couple of You got to cop a couple of redback bites on the way through because those things are always full of redbacks, and away you go. So anyway, that's a bit of irrigation chat for you listeners out there. Hope you enjoyed it. My lemon comes a little bit more fishing related, but it is the fact that we are going to talk through some more fishing restrictions that are coming into play very soon. Now, I'm not going to be the one to pass comment on whether it's the right thing, wrong thing, or otherwise. The simple fact of the matter is it's happening. But my lemon is that this is going to hurt the industry. This is going to hurt rec fishers. This is going to hurt the tackle shops. And there is nothing at all that I like about that with the reality that we're facing, mate. It's not good news.
You're certainly right, Dizzy. You do feel about these small community sort of shops that are trying to make a living, particularly like you think about somewhere over like Port Lincoln Way, where basically they're catching as many squid and garfish as they want.
Yes.
And, you know, they're catching plenty of fish, and now they've just had their squid closed.
Yeah. Yeah, not good news.
And maybe it's for the best for the whole state that you close both gulfs. And those that are over on that sort of Eyre Peninsula side and still fishing okay have plenty of time to move throughout the whole Gulf, and probably in the big picture it's a good thing, but it's probably a bitter pill to swallow for the industry.
Yeah, good call. And we'll cover that a little bit more in the news. Rhodey, let's get on to some of the social work that you've been doing and just what's been grabbing people's attention across the social media realm.
Those bag limit reductions that just broke today, Diz, they went nuts, didn't they? There's been hundreds and hundreds of comments across Facebook and Instagram, everyone having their opinions. I think, interestingly, Diz, I don't think anyone's really said, oh, it's rubbish, they're banning squid fishing. I think everyone said, look, the squid fishing ban was probably inevitable and probably the right thing to do. Same with the garfish, I think, Diz. But I think what a lot of people's disappointment maybe is that the snapper fishing isn't mentioned, and that remains closed for another 12 months, roughly, I think it's supposed to be, Diz.
Yes.
That they extended it to around the Algal Bloom stuff. And I think people just say, look, we can't catch squid, we can't catch anything else. Why can't we catch these snapper that everyone's reporting are in plague proportions in some parts of the state, which we've spoken about lots and lots on the podcast, Diz.
Yeah, good call, Rhodey. That's a very good summary of the feedback that we've been getting across our social pages. And I think that I suspect there's more news to come about all of this, because it is not going to be, while there are some species like squid that have a very fast life cycle, I think that we're not done with some of these restrictions needing to be in place for the fishery long term, or at least that's what will likely happen. Some of the comments that have been coming in, Rhodey, are things like sell your boat. This is not the end of it. So I think there are a lot of people out there that are reeling from this, if I can use that term. And, it's bitter news.
Don't you think that the sell your boat comment is like, has anyone actually ever sold your boat? Do you think it's the biggest hollow promise ever? Hollow threat?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's been a number of things that we've thought about along the journey where it might have triggered a boat sale. COVID was one, but all it did was increase the price of boats. So, you never really know. And I think you're right. Sometimes these things are just a bit of a reaction to some bad news, and then people don't tend to follow through on them. Because what I would say is there are still plenty of options. Freshwater's firing.
Yeah, and realistically, like, the state's actually bouncing back pretty well from this algal bloom. The blue swimmer crabs have had a great year.
Southeast is starting the barrel run if you can get your boat, if you've got a boat capable.
There's whiting being caught across both gulfs. Like, it's not all doom and gloom. The salmon have gone really well. They're going to fire up in winter. There's still plenty of offshore fishing to be done sort of down the Fleurieu and the York Peninsula, and Port Lincoln has been fishing as well as it ever has. So a lot of the state's not that bad, Diz.
Good call, Rhodey. Okay, I think that just about wraps up the social media coverage that we've had, Rhodey, isn't it?
Yeah, we did put up that squid comp that we spoke about before, so congratulations again to those winners. That got a bit of negative feedback, Diz. We weren't telling people to go out and like pillage 100 squid.
No.
We were just saying let us know when you catch one.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that was fair.
And people were allowed to fish for squid, by the way.
All within the rules.
Yeah.
At the time, obviously it's changed, but, grow up, guys.
Yeah, good call. All right, let's get into the news.
Rhodey and Diz have been searching far and wide to bring you the latest news across all fishing in the state, and will give you the rundown on what you need to know.
All right, Rhodey, let's start with the biggest news story breaking up the top here. So, updated closures. We caught wind of this early today thanks to the news coming through, which was really helpful, and we broke it across our socials to give all of you listeners and everybody following along out there. But, Rhodey, give us a bit of a summary. You've got here a link to Purse's webpage, so tell us what it reads.
So, Dizzy, first thing is, if you want to find this on the Purser website, it's not hidden under a big headline saying bag and boat limits reduced. It's hidden down the bottom of an article about algal bloom testing results continue a positive trend. So it is hidden away a little bit, Diz. You do have to look for it. But there is a table of what has changed as of May 1st. These temporary restrictions come in. So they've spoken about an abundance of blue swimmer crabs in Gulf of St Vincent has allowed the removal of all restrictions on this species, similar to the arrangements already in place for Spencer Gulf. So, Diz, that seems fair. Everyone's catching plenty of crabs, so they're back to normal.
Yep.
A total closure will be implemented for southern calamari across both gulfs, and this is for both commercial, recreational and charter boat fishing. I think everyone saw that coming, and that's probably necessary.
Yeah, fair enough.
A recreational and charter boat closure will be implemented for garfish in the Gulf of St Vincents, which is already has been subject to a commercial closure. And finally, Dizzy, they're bringing back those spawning spatial closures will be implemented for King George whiting, and those areas apply. Those spatial spawning closures will run from May 1st to July 31st, and that wraps around the bottom of York Peninsula, Diz, and that's where the whiting go to breed, and I think they've got reasonable data that is where they spawn, and that's fish go from both gulfs down there to spawn, so that's why that is the closure area. That bottom end of Yorks will be closed for 3 months. When that opens up again on July 31st, Spencer Gulf will go back to 100%, so the normal 10 as a bag limit, 30 for the boats, while Gulf of St Vincent will go back to a 50% bag limit that's been put in place, Diz.
Okay.
So all other existing fishing restrictions remain in place, and lots of people are asking how long is this for, things like that, and it says at the bottom of this article that this is subject to quarterly scientific reviews, so it sounds like it gets reviewed about every 3 months, Diz.
Okay.
That's not to say that the squid or the garfish will change in 3 months. I highly doubt that. But at least it means we're not locked in for 12 months from the get-go.
True. And it sounds like, we'll know a bit more probably towards the back end of this year, you'd say?
Yeah, I reckon.
Summer, maybe?
Yeah, I reckon it'll be probably at least 6 months. But as a lot of people have said, and as we've said before, Dizzy, the squid in particular breed very, very quickly. They have a life cycle of... This is all subject
to no more... substantial increase in algal bloom activity, I suppose.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns, but I think once the squid start to come back, they'll bounce back pretty quickly. So, they've got a life cycle of, I think it's like 12 to 18 months for a squid to sort of reach maturity, breed and die. Yeah. So it's not going to take a long time if conditions are right and the algal bloom settles, particularly for the squid to bounce back. Some of those other species, the garfish and things like that, maybe take a bit longer, but... who knows? And as you say, we don't really know what's going to happen with the algal bloom going forward.
Yeah, good call. All right, Rhodey. Well, thanks for keeping us across the latest on that news. The KI and Warina snapper reefs are going in at the end of next month. Is that right?
Yeah, Dizzy, that's correct. We don't obviously have exact dates because it's subject to conditions and things like that. But great to see that's going forwards, Dizzy. They, from all reports, they sound really like they're going really well, and they're quite big structures, and hopefully they're going to hold a lot of fish.
Yeah, and that's certainly part of the plan, wasn't it? A lot of people sort of got, it was well known that building some of these artificial reefs was going to be what helped for the recovery of some of these species to allow them, protection in certain areas to be able to breed, and also then, grow up and get a bit of a better base of stock in the Gulfs. So let's hope that ends up being good news, and hopefully we can start sharing some good news about things opening up, and who knows about the snapper and so on and so forth. So we'll keep you all across the latest, and the moment it hits, we'll be sharing it across the socials, and of course talking about it on the podcast every other week. So you'll be sure to follow along and hear about all the latest, Roddy.
All right, Diz, that's it for the news. Obviously, a lot for people to digest there, but I think a lot of it was probably inevitable. It's just maybe the timing, and it's a definite thing now. So something for us all to think about.
Good stuff, Roddy. Let's get into tackle item of the week.
Now it's time for Rhodey and Diz to really show you what it means to have all the gear with a lot of idea as they review a tackle item of the week.
Righto, Rhodey, we have got the latest and greatest from Shimano here. I'm talking about the Ledge Runner. I've got the 160F in front of me here. It is a wonderful hard body diving lure. It is an absolute beauty.
Certainly is, Diz. So you've got your 160F, so that's a floating lure, and then you've got your 200S, which is a sinking lure. So they're both those hard bodies. They're going to go really well, Dizzy, on some of our local species, Diz, and obviously they're a really good, solidly constructed lure. But what's new about them, and what's pretty revolutionary, and what a lot of other lures don't have on their products, Diz, is this adjustable depth range. So there's like a little split ring at the front that the lure connects to, and depending on which little slot in the bib, there's like metal slots that you can slide this split ring into. Depending which slot you put it in, it'll dive deep, medium, or shallow. So you take it straight out of the box, it comes rigged up, ready to go, and you can straight away use it for 3 different uses straight out of the pack.
That's amazing, mate. And that is so important, because you might be sounding fish at, 3 meters. Bang. All right. You can set the depth accordingly, or bang, you might see him really high up in the water column at 2 meters. Okay. I'll adjust it a little bit. Or you might see him a bit deeper, down at 7 or 8 meters. And then, of course, you can just reel it back in, adjust the split ring like you say on the front, and get those lures diving down a little bit deeper. They're a wonderful piece of kit. They've also got this, what they're calling the hydro control wing. So there's a bit of a sort of a strake, I guess, running down the side of the lure, and that is designed to keep the lure swimming true. It is a great piece of kit. It comes with, of course, everything that you've come to love on your Shimano products, all really high quality stainless steel. Nothing on there is going to break down. It's going to get that fish to the side of the boat once you get that hook up, Rhodey. It's a wonderful lure that you want to get your hands on from your tackle stores.
Certainly will, Diz, and both the smaller one and the larger one come in 6 different colours. We reckon the smaller one's perfect for your bait, your school tuna, Diz, your southern bluefin tuna that they're getting at the bottom of York. So that could be where you take them to first, Diz. Yeah. And the bigger ones should go really well on the barrel tuna that are going well in the southeast, Diz. And I reckon you could also get a big kingfish on that bigger lure.
Yeah, good call. Definitely. Big kingy'd go that, no probs.
So they're really good. We've literally just got our hands on these. They're available from about now, Diz. The next week or so, they'll be hitting your local tackle stores. So make sure you get your hands on them, Diz, because they're a really good product.
Good stuff. All right, Rhodey, that just wraps up a wonderful tackle item of the week. We are about to get on our guest for the show, Rhodey. This is, of course, Adam, who joins us from Aeroo Drones. Let's pick up the phone and dial him.
Now it's time to get our guest on the line. We'll ask them the all-important 5 questions, then chat all things fishing in SA.
All right, Dizzy, we are very lucky to be joined tonight by Adam from Aeroo Drones. Adam, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Adam, it's great to be here, and we are very much looking forward to having a chat with you about the wonderful drones that you have and all that they're capable of doing, and why all of our listeners should get their hands on one and get out there and give it a crack. But before we get into that stuff, let's ask you the 5 questions that we talk through with all of our guests. So let's start with telling us about your best fish, mate.
Yeah, perfect. I had to have a good think about this one. I've hit the 40 kilo GT mark once. That was up there. But when I was a young fella, when I was probably about 11 or 12, me and my mates went out just down to one of the jetties. I ended up getting a 97 centimeter flathead. At the time, I had no idea what significance that sort of meant, but that's looking back on it, I think that's my highlight.
Have you gone bigger than that since?
No.
It's one of those things.
Not even close. No.
It's like we've got it here in Adelaide. Some of these reservoirs have been stocked with Murray cod, and these kids are going out and catching like an 80 centimetre, 90 centimetre Murray cod as their first fish.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not getting any better than that.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't even got close since. So, it sort of you look back on the memories when you were a kid and you used to, jump on the bike, put the rods on. Caught some many good fish back when I was a kid, and didn't really know the significance of it at the time. But yeah, good times.
Very good. Now, Adam, tell us your favourite thing about fishing.
Yeah, favourite thing about fishing, probably the night before. I think always before a fishing trip, you always have a few beers, get all the rods set up, get it all rigged up and ready, and get the adrenaline pump and get really excited for the next day. That's always a good part about my fishing. Obviously, being outside with mates and family is really good as well, but I love the night before.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That anticipation and just planning and talking through, what you're going to try and achieve is always a highlight. You sort of generally go out there with pretty high hopes and, then like they always say that, if you're catching fish, it ends up being a bonus. But you're absolutely right. The night before is always good fun.
Yeah, exactly. And 8 times out of 10, you'll come home with nothing anyway. So
yeah, you're right, mate. What's your first fishing memory, or what got you into it?
Yeah, probably my dad. From when I can first remember, I've been fishing with my dad and my brothers as well. So I'd say he was a very keen fisher. Got me into it from a very early age, and been fishing ever since.
All right, now Adam, this one might be an obvious one for someone who works in drone fishing, but tell us your favourite sort of fishing and why.
Obvious answer is drone fishing. I grew up fishing up in North Queensland, and I moved to Sydney when I was 21. Fishing down here in Sydney, it's not the same. So only recently, actually, I've got into drone fishing. And it's made it fun. Fishing in Sydney, if anyone's listening from Sydney would know, it's very hard. We've got some good beaches here. The drone makes getting some snapper, getting anything edible, it makes it realistic. So in the last year, I've really got into the drone fishing. It's good fun.
Yeah, awesome, mate. We can't wait to chat a bit more about all things drone fishing in just a minute. Now, tell us about your funniest fishing story or the one that got away. Because if I can just picture a funny fishing story, it'd have to be Rhodey, like trying to fly a bait out and like tangling the drone on the roof rack or something on the way out. But I'm sure you've probably got some great stories. Yeah,
look, it's more about the one that did get away. I think that a funny story, actually. I got a good one this morning. I was out fishing with another colleague, and we had a little bit of a crowd around, and we're the drone experts. we had about 10, 15 people around, and we were trying to show off. And then we got the line tangled in the motor, and the drone started. Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing at the time, but we can laugh about it now.
Very good. All right, Adam, thanks for answering those 5 questions. Now we're going to get into the drone stuff, in particular, the drone fishing. Tell us about the business. How did it start? Tell us about Aeroo Drones.
Yeah, so we started about 4 years ago. We've had a couple of tester models. It took quite a long time to get the idea set out. the idea came about from the owner. So he worked retail in a drone shop. He had quite a lot of people coming in and asking, "Oh, I've seen these YouTube videos. Some people are fishing with their DJIs," and it gave him the idea to come up with a fishing drone. And it probably took a good 2 years to come up with a good model. And yeah, 2 years ago they launched the what we call the beta model, and it went well. It went really well, very successful. And about 12 months ago, we launched our current version, and that's going really well. Well, that's pretty much how it started. Just from the owner working retail, and just noticed a bit of a gap in the market.
And is he like a technician that built the prototype himself, or did he find someone that does that, or how did he go about it?
Yeah, so he came up with the whole concept himself, and obviously you can't get it manufactured in Australia, unfortunately, anymore. But yeah, that's all been done overseas through a drone company. But yeah, all his idea.
That's amazing. And you're right. I think, I don't know, when the kind of first, I guess, drones started to become popular, and we might have been down beach fishing at the Coorong, which is down in the southeast here. And you always think, it'd be so good, casting out. You might flick out and lose a pilly off the line or something. And you think, geez, it'd be so good if we could just fly a drone out. So you've really... You've nailed it from that perspective, and I'm sure it's just going to continue to get more and more popular, particularly as this younger generation come through looking to take advantage of technology to give themselves that edge out on the water. Is that right?
Oh, 100%. I think that there's a few factors that come into it for us, or just the fishing community in general. Even just looking at the recent cost of fuel crisis. It's just made it extremely unaffordable to get out on a boat. To keep a boat is very expensive, as I'm sure you're aware. I've had boats before, and they just take your money. But that's one thing. Cost of living, just finding time to go fishing, like putting in and out the boat. It's really simple with the drone, and it only takes a couple of minutes set up. You can get out. You can drop the baits further. That's what it's all about, really. That's a big edge, especially for a lot of the young kids coming through. They're always looking for a bit of an edge, and trying to catch a bigger fish so they can brag to their mates.
And Adam, can you tell us how the drone's different to others on the market, and why it's better than buying a drone and then putting an aftermarket gimbal on it? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so we're number one. We're an Australian company. I think that's a very, very big bonus for any Australian consumer. A lot of our competitors are internationally owned, in particular Chinese owned. So you from point of sale to after sale service, or any support needs you get, it's all done here in Australia for us. And if a lot of people, you can use a DJI with a bait release. We're a purpose built drone for fishing. That's the main thing. We're specifically designed just for fishing. That's all there is to it, really.
Yeah, epic. And we love that, supporting Australian business, and that good old Aussie ingenuity is the idea that you and the company have the owners have come up with, mate. So we'll absolutely support that 100%. Now, mate, tell us, how far can you get a bait out? Is it something that you're seeing, people will kind of fly the drone up with the bait, and then just get it out there as far as they can, or what's the go?
Well, it depends how big your reel is. So with our drone, the maximum, this is, wind conditions are perfect, the overheads are perfect, satellite, it can go up to 10 kilometers.
That's a big reel, fishing reel though.
It's not going to happen. Most people are dropping anywhere from 200 to 700 meters.
Yeah.
So I think that's the range you're looking at. You don't really want to be going any further than that. It's a long way to wind in.
Yes,
Yeah,
no,
for
fair
sure.
call. And tell us, I was reading on the website, it can carry 1 kilo of weight, did I see? That's a pretty big bait.
Yeah, that's right. So it can safely carry 1 kilo. Some people use more, have no issues. We always just say safely 1 kilo. You don't even need that really. Most people, if you're fishing for snapper, that's generally most people target species anyway. You have your Paternoster rig, squid, pillies. You're not even getting close to 1 kilo anyway.
Yeah, that video on your website of it picking up all the DJI drones is pretty amazing too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's some of the guys in the office had a good idea. And that's where that come from.
Love it. Hey, tell us, how many of the people out there that are using your drones are doing things like, flying the drone up there with a lure, for example, and sort of spotting a school of salmon or tailor if you're on the East Coast and sort of dropping it out the back and dragging it through them. Is anyone doing that sort of thing, or are they just bait fishing?
I've noticed that a lot of people get into that just recently, actually, especially with the salmon starting to come around. It's actually great. You can attach the lure to it, usually just through the eye, and then you can scout. You go scout the salmon, and then you drop it on the back of the school, and you wind it through them. You're guaranteed a hookup.
Very good. Now tell us, Adam, I've seen, you've talked about snapper being a popular species to target over here in South Australia. I've seen people use them for mulloway and, gummy sharks and school sharks and things like that. My thoughts immediately went to trying to get a tuna dizzy off Victor Harbour. I think that would be doable within 700 metres on the right day when the tuna coming close. What's some of the best catches or coolest fish you've seen caught with one of these drones?
Yeah, so they've been used around the country. We've even New Zealand. We've got a massive customer base in New Zealand as well. Awesome. So there's been some massive kingfish caught on the drone just from land base. You can drop live bait as well. A lot of people don't think about that, but you can drop live baits out as well. And that's how one of the guys in New Zealand, he's got a massive kingfish. People out in Western Australia getting Spanish mackerel off the beach. Like you can actually catch anything. Anything you think you can catch in a boat with the drone, you can get it land based.
Yeah, epic. And mate, tell us as well. It's got some serious sort of video and photo credentials too, doesn't it? I mean, you can use it for capturing that shot too, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. 4K camera. You can video record. You can take still pictures. All saved on an SD card that you insert into the drone. As I was saying, like it's not just used for fishing. With the camera inbuilt, the whole idea originally was just to scout for fish. With the current model, we've obviously gone that next step and given you the ability to record nice scenic shots, as well as scout even better for fish.
Very good. Now, Adam, out of all the things, the different numbers you've told us and what we've seen on your website, the one that blew me away the most was the 50 kilometre an hour wind resistance. That seems pretty revolutionary.
It is pretty impressive. It's pretty scary. I've tested it out as well. It makes your heart pump when you've got it up. I've been out in a little bit stronger than 50 Ks, and it moves around, but it's a solid drone. It's very robust. You get you need it to be.
Do you know how much it weighs, the drone?
Good question. It's around about 1.5 kilos including the battery.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And You really need that wind resistance if you are going to be, like you say earlier, you've purpose built this thing for fishing because, when you're out there, you might be on the beach looking for a gutter or you're down there. It's not often that you just get that perfect day where there's no wind. So to have a, solid built, purpose built drone like this one is exactly what you need for being able to tackle the elements.
Yeah, 100%, and that's what we thought. If we're going to be a fishing drone, we have to think of everything. Obviously the wind is one of the main factor. You also get salt spray, so it's also water resistant. There's a few competitive drones that they advertise that they're waterproof. You don't want your drone to be falling in the ocean anyway.
No, I don't think you do.
If it's falling in the ocean, it's got something wrong with it anyway. So, it can handle the salt spray. The heat. We've got smart AI batteries. They work really well. It's got it all really.
Very good. Now, Adam, I can think of lots of places in South Australia. I think the Coorong would be really great, Dizzy for Mulloway and snapper and sharks. I know Jake from Real SA on YouTube's doing a lot of great work over Port Lincoln Way. There's lots of great spots to use these drones in South Australia. Do you sell many over here?
Yeah, definitely. We sell a lot out of Adelaide, but Port Lincoln would be number two where Jake is from. Adelaide, a lot of people get out on the weekends, go on fishing trips, which is great to see. I think South Australia comes in third out of all the states with our sales. So it's great to see, despite the troubles South Australia's had, the fishing community is picking back up.
Good to see we're punching above our weight for a smaller population, Diz.
It is. It really is. And it's a lovely part of the world down there at Port Lincoln because you've got so many options. But then, I imagine just having that drone just opens up even more options because, there's lots of land-based stuff you can do down there. But then when you get to some of those parts in the Lincoln National Park or the Coffin Bay National Park, you're just going to open up plenty of other options already. So it's a wonderful thing for the listeners to get around. And, mate, you've been excellent in talking us through everything. Tell us what's the next thing on the drone fishing horizon, so to speak? Any new product developments that you can let us in on, or you're just focusing on, sales of that new model you talked about?
No, there's not too much I can talk about. Obviously, as a drone fishing company, we're always looking to develop something big or something better, but there's nothing I can say too much. But yeah, like I'm hoping within the sort of next 12 months or so, we'll have something else coming out. But at the moment, the current models are going great. It's actually very hard to improve. So there's not too much we can improve on, but I'm sure if we think of what we can do, we'll release a bigger and better version of it.
And we're seeing lots, like more and more out there as time goes on. The business must be growing pretty quickly, is it?
Yeah, definitely. We've got over 10,000 customers in Australia now, so it's no longer a niche fishing category.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And Adam, lastly, tell us, where do we get our hands on one? What's the best way to buy one?
Yeah, so online, aerodrones.com.au. You can also find it. You can go onto our website. We've got some retail stores scattered around the country as well.
Wonderful, mate. Thank you very much for coming on and talking us through everything Aeroo Drones and telling us a bit about your own fishing, mate. It's been great to have you on. We're certainly looking forward to keeping up to speed with all the developments and everybody that's catching fish out there with your wonderful drones.
Yeah, no problems. Thanks very much for having me on, and I'm hopefully going to get down to South Australia later on this year for a fish and test it out down there.
Very good. Thanks, Adam.
No problems at all. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much.
Dizzy, that was great to chat with Adam about all things Aeroo drones and drone fishing, and learnt a lot there, Diz.
Certainly did. And like you said, there's just so many options that you could use it around Adelaide and South Australia more generally. Like, Even a night down at Gore.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Nice still night down at Gore. Find yourself a nice gutter up there towards the mouth. Fly a bait out. You might get a gummy. Might get a snapper.
Dizzy, I reckon that'd be great for sharking. Like I think you think about, we've done this a couple of times down the bottom of Yorks. We've been on that Stenhouse jetty, which is a small jetty.
Yeah.
And there can be 2 or 3 other people trying to shark there. And everyone's crammed on a one little jetty. You're waiting for the wind to be in the right direction. There's a lot of variables. If you've got a drone and you can just go and drop wherever you like, you sit on the beach. You're not as worried about the wind.
You're ahead of the game.
Yeah, it flies in 50 kilometre an hour winds.
Yeah, I know. That's insane.
Mate, if it's blowing 50 kilometres an hour, I'm tucked up on the couch.
Yeah, good call.
So 50 K is a fair bit of wind.
Yeah, it certainly is. Certainly is. All right, Rody, that was great to have Adam on. Let's get stuck into our fishing report.
Rody and Diz have been out on the water to bring you the news about where they're biting. Now it's time for the fishing report.
Where are they biting, Rody? I'm hearing barrels in the southeast in a big way.
Yes, Dizzy. They have been getting them down at Port Mac. Plenty of fish being caught down there. Diz, one of fish has moved down. They're doing well.
They are, and they even got a over 100 kilo mako.
They did too. And across the border as well, Diz, I think Port Fairy, Warrnambool maybe, and definitely Portland. I think they're getting them as well.
Okay, there you go. You heard it. Get down there if you want to chase yourself a barrel. There's some big additions. I've seen 70, 80, over 100 kilo tuna caught. Yes,
Diz. Now, what else is fishing? We talked about the squid. They're there, but about to be closed, so we won't dwell on that for too long, Diz. But good to see nonetheless that they're bouncing back. Like whether or not you're allowed to catch them, whether or not you should be catching them to keep is up to people to decide. It is legal to catch them for the next 4 days.
Yep.
Until those bans come in on May 1st. But no one can argue that it's a positive sign for the recovery of the species.
Yeah, good call. Jetties are fishing well already. I've heard fairly good reports about little salmon off the Port Noarlunga jetty.
Yes, Dizzy, we're coming into the cooler months. No doubt that's when the salmon fire. I did see a flyer for the Elliston Salmon Comp, Diz, coming up, the Australian Salmon Comp. So that'll be on us soon. And we talk about that every year, and we always say, let's go and do it, Diz. But, I reckon the salmon will fire soon. It just needs a couple of rough, windy days to really get them hot.
And you get mullet coming into the beaches this time of year too.
Yeah, that's often an Easter thing, I think, isn't it, Diz? And we've just had Easter, so that's true. And offshore's fishing well, Dizzy. Plenty of gummy sharks and school sharks off the Flurio. I've seen Nanagai getting around some of those offshore reefs as well.
And freshwater is fishing well too. So there's so many options for you out there. Jump into your tackle store. Have a yarn with them about where the fish are biting. They'll point you in the right direction. Absolutely no two ways about it. And just get out there and enjoy the great outdoors. We're having some absolutely stunning late April weather here. We had a bit of a cold snap and some cold weather, and I thought, here it comes. But the weather, how good's it been?
It's been phenomenal weather, Diz.
It's been beautiful days.
Every day is 26, 27, sun's out. It'd be perfect to have a day off and go fishing.
Great call. All right, Rody, that wraps up the fishing report. All the listeners know where to find us. You got to keep up to date on the socials with the Facebook, Instagram. You'll find the podcast everywhere that you could possibly think about finding a podcast.
See you guys.
Rody and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.